Hey everybody, this video is going to go over the attendance and weekly deadlines for the course. If this is your first time taking an online class, I highly suggest watching the rest of this video and going through the information that's provided below. Attendance can be a little tricky at first, so I want to make sure everyone understands how it works and what you need to do to make sure that you're counted present every week. So how does attendance work for an online class? When you take a class on campus, that class is set to meet on a certain day at a certain time. You show up for the class that week, you get marked present for that week. Pretty easy. But in an online class, you have the whole week to do the work, and you don't. When is attendance recorded, right? So I'm going to go through the when and then the how. So for the online classes, attendance is tracked as of 11:59 p.m. on Thursday nights. And then instructors enter attendance right after that. I suppose if we were awake that late after 11:59 Thursday night, we could go ahead and enter it then. Most of us, though, are already in bed, and so we enter it first thing Friday morning. So anything that happens after 11:59 p.m. Thursday doesn't count for that week, right? So Thursday night is the attendance deadline. How do you trigger your attendance? How do you make sure you're counted present each week? Well, you have to submit a graded item. That means posting to the discussion forum, completing a quiz, completing and submitting a homework assignment. It does not include going through the material in the module. So looking at PowerPoints, reading handouts, watching video lessons, none of that will count for your attendance. You have to submit a graded item. So how does it all work together? Okay, week 1 starts on Monday. The attendance deadline for week 1 is that Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. So to be counted present for week 1, you have to submit at least one graded item before Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. We try as instructors to help you remember that by making the first post of the discussion forum due at 11:59 p.m. on Thursdays. We're hoping that if you adhere to that due date, you won't ever have to worry about triggering your attendance. It'll get done every week. But sometimes the discussions can take a little longer, and you may not have time Monday through Thursday to really do well and post a really good response to the discussion. But that's okay. It can be any graded item. For this class in particular, the weekly journal is a good item to use for this purpose because it is designed to be a 10-minute assignment. So you can do that journal instead and then post the discussion later. Any graded item will work. So in week 1, you have to submit at least one graded item between Monday, when the class begins, and that first Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Now, this part gets a little confusing because the due dates on your assignments are Sunday night at midnight. So even though you have to submit at least one graded item by Thursday night, you actually have until Sunday night to complete the rest of the work, right? So that's how week 1 functions. Week 2 is a little different because it's not the very first week. Attendance got tracked for week 1 that first Thursday night. So Friday starts the attendance window for week 2. Even though you're still completing the homework and doing the material for week 1, the attendance window has opened for week 2. So for week 2, as long as you submit any type of graded item between Friday and the following Thursday, you will get counted present for week 2. It doesn't matter if the items you submit are for week 1 or if they're for week 2. As long as you submit something from that Friday to that Thursday, you get counted present for week 2. And it continues on that way until the end of the quarter, until we get to week 11, the final exam week. So week 11 begins on that last Monday, the last week of class. And again, you only have until that Thursday to submit your item. You actually only have that till that Thursday to submit all your items, because not only is that last Thursday the attendance trigger for week 11, but it's also the deadline to submit all work. The course closes at 11:59 p.m. on that last Thursday in week 11. Anything submitted after 11:59 p.m., we are unable to grade. It will not count for anything. So week 1 and week 11, the attendance window is exactly the same. Weeks 2 through 10, you have a larger window in which to trigger your attendance and submit that graded item, right? So that's how attendance works. That's when we track it and how you make sure you get credit for attendance each week. But a few other things that I want to mention. So once again, don't let the deadlines for the homework assignments, the due dates, confuse you. That's separate from attendance, okay? Yes, all the due dates say Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., and that's true. But you got to pick one of those things to do before that, at least in week 1. Then after week 1, as long as you're keeping up with the work for each week, you will more than likely have submitted something during that attendance window to get counted present for each of the subsequent weeks. If by Tuesday of any given week you have not submitted something within that week's attendance window, you will get a reminder, either a reminder email or a reminder text. You may even get one Wednesday if you still haven't submitted something in that week's attendance window. And if by Thursday you still haven't submitted a graded item to trigger your attendance for that week, you will definitely receive another reminder. So we try to help you out by sending those reminders. But as long as, again, after that first week, where you only have 4 days to submit a graded item to get counted present for week 1, it gets a little easier because from week 2 on, you have a whole week to submit a graded item and be counted present for each week until you get to week 11. Like I said, that's a weird one again. And not only is the attendance window only 4 days again, but that last Thursday of week 11 is the cutoff for everything. One last thing I want to point out is, so let's say any given week you did not trigger your attendance. You know, either in week 1 you didn't get something submitted in those first 4 days, or any given week after that, if you didn't get something submitted during that 7-day window, you will be counted absent for that week. Remember, the attendance policy is 20%. That basically means 2 classes. So you are allowed to be counted absent twice throughout the quarter. If you get counted absent a 3rd time, you will be withdrawn from the course. And these are not consecutive absences. It's a cumulative. So it could be an absence in week 2, an absence in week 5, and then another absence in week 8. That 3rd absence in week 8 will probably get you withdrawn from the class. So it's really important to make sure that you are keeping up with the attendance in addition to the due dates of the assignments, because it would be really sad to make it all the way to week 8 or week 9 and then have to be withdrawn from the class after doing all that work, just because you forgot to submit at least one graded item during each week's attendance window. So we try to help with the reminders. We try to help by making the discussion posts, the first post due on Thursday nights. But if you're ever wondering, you can always check with me and I can let you know if you've triggered your attendance for any particular week. The discussions, even though the first post is technically due Thursday nights by 11:59 p.m., if any given week you just don't have the time to get to that discussion by Thursday night, again, choose another graded item, like the daily journal, or the weekly journal, to submit instead. but still post to the discussion before it closes on Sunday night. Still do the rest of the homework. Um, even if you get counted absent any given week, still do the work. Absence is attendance. Homework is your grade. So they're connected in some ways, but they are actually very different as well. The homework helps you trigger your attendance, but that's not all it's for. It's still affecting your grade. So try to keep all of this in mind. I know it can be very confusing at first, but like I said, if you just try to keep up with the work and getting things submitted by the due dates, then after week one, it gets much easier. But again, I'm always here to answer your questions if you're unsure, if you've triggered attendance, or if you have, any lingering questions about how the attendance is triggered and when it's triggered and all of that good stuff. But I think after the first week or two, students usually get the hang of it. But let me know if you do have any additional questions.